Hello, everybody. Good evening on this fine Wednesday evening. Welcome, 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 and a very warm welcome to everybody who is new into the group. We've welcomed a few new people over the last couple of weeks, and I've had some conversations with some people. And yeah, like this is a space here for you to learn more about what's going on for you, grab some tips along the way, and essentially see if you can find a pathway moving forward so that you can actually bring cohesion and balance to your thyroid with whatever life stage you're going through, and actually seek the help that you require to move forward to seek what I call health abundance, which I believe is available for each and every one of us if we know our body incredibly well. Because if we know our body incredibly well, then we know what steps to take to improve our health and wellness to actually achieve the level of health, fitness, balance, whatever it is that you're after, weight loss, weight gain, muscle integrity, clarity of the mind. There are so many varied signs and symptoms for thyroid, depending on what's going on, whether it's hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, whether it has an autoimmune etiology. And specifically tonight, I'll be talking about the links between thyroid challenges and that beautiful transition called menopause. All right, so if you're here, say hello. Oh, wow, fantastic. Sharon's here, Linda, excellent. Shell's all ready to support everyone coming in. Fantastic. All right, so here we go. Like, I just wanted to talk about this because it's really interesting. A lot of the signs and symptoms of perimenopause, now just to give some definitions here, perimenopause is that time which could last up to 10 years leading up to that transition. Menopause is technically when you've ceased menstruation for 1 year. Okay, that's when technically you are you've gone through menopause and you're then postmenopausal. Okay, so perimenopause is that kind of turbulent time. Can be, or it can be a smooth transition. It just depends how well your body is supported, leading up to the change, which I like to call the wisdom years. Okay, it's a time of life where women seek have the wisdom. They've actually accrued all the knowledge. They've done all the twists and turns all their life, and they actually know what to do. They know where they are. They're rock solid. They're grounded. So that's obviously historically what this period of time is. It's a time of celebration. Yeah. However, unfortunately, in Western society, it is often kind of blacklisted as, oh, that change. And, it's like, oh, I know, menopause. And, I mean, I certainly hear it with a lot of my friends and a lot of people. I'm in my early 50s, so I hear it with my friends, like, oh, the dreaded menopause. And, like, it's almost like a taboo subject. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be turbulent. Like, it can be a really smooth transition. There can be two sets of scenarios with perimenopause. Both are declining hormones. Okay, so one is highly fluctuating estrogen with declining progesterone. That can lead to signs and symptoms such as erratic moods, kind of craziness, irregular periods, heavy periods, etc., etc., etc. Or there's scenario 2, which is a gradual, slow decline of progesterone along with estrogen, which actually allows for a smooth transition. All right. So depending on what's going on in your life, like with your whole health and wellness in terms of how well your stress response is supported, how well your liver is functioning, how well, like for thyroid especially, because I'm talking about thyroid, if you have a thyroid challenge, and you're starting to see signs and symptoms of menopause, which may well be overlapping, and you might actually be blaming it on thyroid or vice versa, well, that can really create a stormy time or a smooth time. So what I'd like to bring tonight is just some tips to help you navigate that time, if that is for you, if that's happening for you, or if you know that it's going to be coming up in the next couple of years, or whatever it is that's happening for you, so that you can have some tips to help navigate that time. Because a lot of the signs and symptoms of perimenopause actually mirror signs and symptoms of thyroid. Because let's face it, it's all part of the endocrine system. Yeah, and as I've mentioned in many of my other live trainings, the hormones have a knock-on effect. They talk to each other. And depending on whether a hormone is high or low or balanced or imbalanced or well supported will depend on, the extent of your signs and symptoms. Not everything that's thyroid related. I mean, of course, there are other just independent signs and symptoms. For example, like the hot flushes is very independent to thyroid, or not necessarily. It can actually be a symptom of thyroid issues, actually, especially if you're going into hyperthyroidism or if you have Graves, there can be a symptom of hot flushes, but typically that is a pretty demarked symptom of menopause, right? So we want to try and navigate that period of time really, really well. And I've just found that, especially during my naturopathic practice, that it's almost like it's a quick fix. So a quick fix to navigating that, and don't get me wrong, like there's no one size fits all. And, for some people, it is a massive impact to their life, and there's absolutely 100% no judgment here with what I'm about to say. However, prolonged implementation of hormone replacement therapy, such as HRT and all the different variances of that, can actually have repercussions later on. So ideally, if that is something that is required, ideally, I would presume that the medical practitioner would have, done their due diligence to explain the risks, and also to have a plan of action for a short period of time, like no longer than 5 years. So for example, let's say, you're in a highly stressful job, and, you're not able to provide for yourself without that at that period of time. And, you've got absolutely debilitating signs and symptoms that are really impacting your quality of life and impacting your functioning. That could be something. I'm not advocating it either. I'm just saying, there's no one size fits all. That could be something that could be implemented as kind of like a little band-aid solution until you have something else in place, but certainly not as the be-all end-all forever and a day. Oh, I'm fine and dandy now because I've got this. And I hear it, and it really worries me, because it can lead to greater cases of, like cardiac issues, strokes, and breast cancer as 3 major areas, right? So we don't want to just kind of like shut up the hormones and just kind of like fix them so that they're all even, because it's all synthetic anyway, and it's not really allowing you to see really what's going on in your body. And at some point, you're going to have to rip that Band-Aid off and then go through the whole menopausal cascade again. So why not actually do your due diligence to actually find out exactly what's going on in your body, support all the areas of your body that need supporting, so that you can then celebrate a smooth transition. And, a smooth transition, it could be a short period of time, it could be a long period of time, but what we want is a smooth transition. Okay. And when you know what's going on in your body, that is absolutely achievable, because there is such a thing called dietary and lifestyle medicine, and I have a beautiful colleague by the name of Lindsay, and she specializes in menopause. And I know that she utilizes dietary and lifestyle medicine with her clients. And I utilize dietary and lifestyle medicine with my clients because the thing is we've got all of this freely available to us. It's just that sometimes what's happened is our modern day society has really forgotten all of these beautiful naturopathic whole earth cuisine tools that we've got at our fingertips if we know how to utilize them and if we know what to do for our body, right? So essentially also, I believe part of the human condition is not wanting change and also wanting a quick fix solution. And again, not generalizing, I'm just saying this is kind of like, it's not our fault. It's actually not our fault. This is just the grooming of humans since we're born to have that easy path, right? So suddenly when we have a challenge where there's hormones involved, again, the brain is hardwired. Well, where's the quick fix solution? Where's my easy pathway? As opposed to actually taking a breath for a minute, celebrating that you're actually about to enter the wisdom years and celebrating your maturity with that. Yeah. And even like beyond that, to become an elder where you can actually teach your kids and your grandkids and, you know, people that are coming up in the world because you've got all of the wisdom. All right. And actually just doing the very best you can do for your body to support your bone health, you know, to help prevent osteoporosis, which is a major, tends to be majorly correlated with the menopausal change because of the decline in estrogen. But if you know what's going on, you can support your body with the right amounts of vitamin D, phosphorus, and calcium. You can support your bone health with magnesium and zinc and all of the other minerals. You know, when you know what minerals your body, you know, the level of minerals and how well you're absorbing them, I'm just talking about minerals at the moment, you can support these pathways. You can have a look at your digestive system through functional testing and actually support your liver for clearance of estrogen to help navigate or help negate, I should say, that kind of turbulence. Because if there's poor clearance, well, then we've got like an estrogen load, and we've also may have xenoestrogens, which come through plastics and other environmental elements that comes through the water supply. I mean, there's so much to think about. And if when you know, you can't unknow, and then you can start to take the necessary steps to not only help you with this menopausal transition, but actually help your health and the longevity of your health, you know, to prevent things like cancer and other chronic diseases such as cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, osteoporosis, which tend to be and cancer. I think I said that, which tend to be the big ones, you know, post-menopausally. All right. So let's just talk about some of the mirroring signs and symptoms. Well, one of the main, actually, first of all, I just want to do a little bit of a poll for those of you who are here. And if you're coming on the replay, or if you're coming in now, just do on the replay, just do a hashtag replay to let me know that you're here, and certainly ask any questions. So I just want to do a little bit of a poll. So type A, if this scenario is you have thyroid challenges, or you've had thyroid challenges, and you're currently entering into perimenopause, right? Perimenopause, or, you know, a lot of people just call it menopause. All right, that's A. Just type it in the comments. Even if you're coming in on the replay, watching this in a few days' time, I'd just love to know, just to get a little bit of a poll, because that just allows me to help you a bit better. All right, type B, if you have suspected thyroid issues, you're not sure. So you're in the group because you think you may have subclinical thyroid issues, but you're actually not sure. And you're perimenopausal or menopausal. All right. So type B, okay, because it's interesting, because you may not have thyroid issues. It might be just the menopausal change, because there's a lot of overlapping symptoms, as I've mentioned. And type C, if you've got thyroid challenges or you've had thyroid challenges and you're currently postmenopausal. Okay, so that means that you've ceased menopause for at least 1 year and you're postmenopause, because the way I would treat each scenario is completely different. So whether you present as A, B, or C, and there's many other factors, there's many other combinations. These are just 3 main ones. I would actually treat the person completely differently. All right. So, and that includes what type of functional testing that I might embark upon. Okay, C, fantastic. We've got them coming through. Hey, Deb, great to see you here, Deb. C, okay, fantastic. All right, well, that's going to help with my, my train of thought. All right, so if it is C, okay, so typically your signs and symptoms of menopause, whatever they were, have started to kind of peter out, because you're technically postmenopausal now and they've started to peter out. If they are still there, but I mean, you can still have signs and symptoms through that time, but perimenopause tends to be the turbulent time, because that's when the hormones are really kind of fluctuating. All right. So typically we want to make sure that we've got adequate minerals to help with your bone health, to help with your cardiovascular system, to help prevent weight gain and to help support your thyroid challenge, whatever that is, right? So essentially, for example, okay, let's just talk about this. For example, let's say you have low functioning thyroid. So typically with low functioning thyroid, whether you're on medication or not, and that's another scenario, because often people are on thyroxine or medication and it's not really making any difference, because essentially, there's still the same issues that are underneath the thyroid issue that haven't been addressed, such as digestive issues or stress response issues, or there's so many different scenarios that I've spoken about in other live trainings. Okay, so a typical mirroring symptom for low T3 is anxiety. Okay, because good amounts of T3, and we know that thyroid hormone actually impacts every cell in the body, so it has a function in every cell of the body. But typically adequate amounts of T3 helps produce serotonin, which is our feel-good hormone. We love serotonin. That helps us keep calm and relaxed. It helps us sleep, It's our happy hormone. It's our love hormone. We love our serotonin. The other hormone is our noradrenaline. So we need our noradrenaline. That actually helps us with our stress response, before kind of cortisol kicks off. And typically noradrenaline directs resources away from maintenance, regeneration, and reproduction, and towards active movement. So we don't want sustained elevated levels of noradrenaline. Okay, so hence hyperthyroidism, where T3 may be really, really high, it's actually breaking down the body because there's too much noradrenaline being secreted. Okay, so we need that balance to come in. All right. Now, the other thing that T3 helps to produce is our GABA. All right, so where did I write that? Our gamma aminobutyric acid, which stands for GABA. All right, and that is our anxiolytic neurotransmitters that actually helps helps to keep us calm. Okay, so hence why hypothyroidism or low functioning thyroid, or just a poor responsive thyroid, or poor functioning thyroid hormones can produce signs and symptoms of anxiety. And anxiety can also be produced with our, signs and symptoms mirroring the lowering of progesterone, which typically occurs during that perimenopausal transition stage. So you can see how there's two completely different hormones that are actually, if they're declining, can actually contribute to the same signs and symptoms. All right, so we want to support both pathways. So you may have heard it being said, I certainly have said it, often we treat our thyroid through the adrenals. All right, one of the big impacts of low functioning thyroid, and certainly Hashimoto's, although I'm not talking about the autoimmune component tonight specifically, I'm talking about other types of thyroid challenges. Typically, it would be hypothyroidism, because we know that Graves is the #1 precursor to hyperthyroidism. So with hypothyroidism, we want to support the stress response. I cannot emphasize that enough. We want to support the adrenal glands. I cannot emphasize that enough, because it is true that, I'm just putting on my glasses because I've got some stats here. Okay. The adrenals contribute up to 35% of premenopausal hormones and almost 50% of postmenopausal hormones. All right. So low progesterone as a result of adrenal dysfunction may cause anxiety, panic, and heart palpitations. Okay. So aren't they signs and symptoms of perimenopause? All right. And then also can be signs and symptoms of thyroid challenges. So we want to help support our adrenal glands with adaptogens, with adrenal tonics, through dietary and lifestyle medicine, helping our stress response. And you know what, like with that, like it's easier said than done, because for some people, and certainly this was when I was at a crossroads a couple of years ago, not because of menopause, not actually going through that stage. In fact, I'm not actually going through that stage yet. So I'm quite happy with that, like holding on to that as long as I can, although I'm not too worried about it, because I feel like I'm pretty well supported. And I suppose I'm happy to share this, like I'm 53, so it's no big secret, but yeah, I think there has been some slight changes, like heading towards that way. And why wouldn't there be? I mean, the average age of going through menopause is 51. So 53, and typically between 45 and 55, but as early as 35. You're going pretty well if you go beyond 55 and still haven't started that change. So I got a little bit off track there, but typically a few years ago, I was at a crossroads. So through the pandemic lockdown, and there was significant stress, not from the pandemic specifically, but just from the imposition that it had caused, and the impact on life and on business and on lifestyle and everything like that. And, it was causing stress. And I thought, this is no good. This stress, this level of stress could actually take out my health. Absolutely. I knew it. I knew it in my heart. And I also knew in my heart that, at that age, which would have been, 49, it's probably a good idea to start thinking more about the future to help manage stress a little bit better. So, we can use lifestyle medicine, but sometimes we need to actually make some big decisions. And for me, I actually made the big decision of uprooting my life completely, like literally closing down everything that I knew in the area that I used to live and completely flipping it. 100%. It was a 100% flip. From a bricks and mortar business to an online business, from a house that we had in Sydney to a house that we have outside of Sydney, closing down businesses, my husband closing down everything he knew up there. So it was a 100% flip. And at the time, yeah, you could argue that it was stressful, but there was something deep in my heart. And I talk about this all the time, about tapping into your heart's intelligence, because the brain actually should be second to the heart. And certainly our predecessors listened to the heart and the energy of the heart more than the brain. But for some reason, that connection has been lost, and the coherence between brain and heart has been lost as well. So if we can actually tap into the heart center and really feel into what's right for you, you can generally feel into the best next step for you. So for me, that's what it was. And, you know, at the end of the day, if your life isn't serving you and the stress is significant and your health is going downhill, and, you know, you're going through menopausal change and your thyroid is still unmanaged or mismanaged, you know, it may be time to actually have a look at making some significant changes in your life. It might be to change a specific work situation or a specific life situation. Like, I'm not saying for everyone to completely flip their life the way I did. I just know that that was the right move for me. And I'm telling you this story to help inspire, because sometimes we can just stay really fixed that there's no way out. And actually, the truth is that we all have what's called choice. You know, we all have, we can all make the decision. We can all upgrade, downgrade. You know, we can change a situation so that we have less stress on our body, less stress on our adrenals. And you know, it may not be straight away, but we can certainly feel into a pathway that can help ease that stress load on our system. Other ways are looking at diet, looking at lifestyle medicine, and helping to support the adrenals. All right. Stress, one person's stress, like the amount of external impact can be, for one person can actually thrive under that, while another person will absolutely crumble. So it depends on your, the flexibility of your nervous system. It depends on your response and how adaptable you are actually at how well you're able to respond. You know, you might even think back that, you know, if a situation that's happened to you recently or happened for you recently, depending on which way you want to look at it, if you think of that same situation, if that might have happened 20 years ago, would you have responded as well as you did recently? You know, so that could be a really good way to just feel into and sink into, you know, how flexible your nervous system is and how well adapted you are. All right. Because if we're unable to manage our stress and respond well to our stress, essentially it's going to break down our body. You know, sustained high levels of cortisol will actually fuel weight gain. It will actually circuit break your T4 to T3. It will actually cause your menopausal transition to be way worse than what it could have been. All right. So unmanaged stress or poorly managed stress will not be resolved by taking a synthetic medication long term. All right. And there's certainly no learning involved in that as well, or no, what's the fad word, you know, evolution or growth, you know, understanding about your body without that as well. All right. And there are certain foods that can help calm your nervous system. So when you know through functional testing, which is what I do with each and every one of my clients that comes into the thyroid restoration roadmap, with functional testing, we can see whether there's deficiencies in these hormones. We can see whether there's deficiencies with the thyroid hormones as well. And we can see what's going on, how well the liver is working to help with the clearance, how well the digestive system is working to help, you know, with the microbiome and to help support the accessory digestive organs. So when we know how well supported everything is and we know where the holes in the bucket are, that's where we can have a structured and tailored treatment plan to help support you further as you transition through. Because we can use foods such as, for example, phytoestrogenic foods, supporting the liver and supporting the pathways, because once estrogen has done its job, it goes down the 3 pathways. You know, we've got the good pathway, the okay pathway, and the naughty pathway. And if it's going down the naughty pathway, that there tends to be a tendency, not a tendency, just a little bit more risk to, you know, cancers, like breast cancer as an example. So that type of information is really, really good to know, especially if you've had turbulent menses and you've always had that kind of fight with that time of the month. That would be really, really good to know how those hormones are behaving in your body and how well they're cleared in your body, so that when you're entering perimenopause, we can actually utilize dietary and lifestyle medicine to help support the liver, so that you're actually able to clear those estrogens. And whether you're methylating well, under methylating, over methylating, like there's all those factors to consider with that. Yeah, because what happens is estrogen, as it gradually declines, what happens is the adrenals take over, and the estrogen is then produced in the adrenal glands with other really key hormones which help prevent osteoporosis and osteoarthritis, mainly osteoporosis, such as, you know, your DHEA and your steroid hormones, your testosterone. And we've also got a little bit of progesterone that's actually produced in the adrenals as well. So we want to support the adrenals really, really well. So supporting our stress cycle, supporting our sleep, supporting our nervous system, so that we can then support our thyroid. Because I've often said that the thyroid is often the last domino to fall. So if things aren't really going too well, what can typically happen is your thyroid symptoms will get worse. And that's what we want to avoid. We don't want this life transition, which is where you enter your wisdom years, to manifest as a worsening thyroid, okay? Like in terms of your signs and symptoms. So knowing everything that's going on in your body is the absolute key to unlocking the pathway forward and knowing what to do. All right. So yeah, it's actually, you know, it's actually not rocket science. It really isn't. It's just about understanding what's going on for you, what's going on in your body through functional testing. And from that, we can actually work out a plan and work out a pathway and work out something that's really tailored for you. Because just to give you an example, if estrogen is fluctuating, we can actually utilize phytoestrogenic foods to help with the you know, the blocking of the receptor. So what happens is, you know, we've got a lock and key. So hormones work like with a lock and key to actually have their action. And if we've got phytoestrogenic foods which actually mimic the actions of estrogen, that can help buffer that hormonal fluctuation. All right. So we could look at that. We would also be looking at how your body is working in terms of, do you have the right amount of minerals and the ratio of minerals to support this change in your body, so you're not going to get any other signs and symptoms such as high cholesterol, such as high blood pressure, all of those things that tend to come after menopause. So we want to make sure we're supporting the body well for longevity and healthy aging. Yeah, so rather than just blaming it on menopause, oh, it's menopause, that's why I've got high blood pressure. Oh, let's just take a beta blocker, or let's just take a Lipitor, or a, you know, like a antacid. Like there are so many things, you know, stomach acid decreases. So let's take an antacid. Let's take a proton pump inhibitor. You know, I mean, there are so many other things that we can do to help support the stomach acid as an example. I'm going off into tangents because I'm just kind of giving you the plethora of things that happen postmenopausally. And if we know what to do and we support the body well, then we can utilize the minerals, because if you think about it, check this out, low stomach acid, and actually the signs and symptoms can often be reflux. So what happens, the person goes and gets a proton pump inhibitor prescribed, or like an antacid. What does that do? It actually suppresses the cells in the stomach, the gastric juices in the stomach. And what does that do? It actually decreases your body's ability to absorb minerals, key minerals like iron and zinc and magnesium and molybdenum and copper and all of these beautiful minerals that we need. And then what does that do? Well, then we're not getting the minerals that we actually require to help support our body for our hormones and for our healthy aging. And that's just one scenario. All right. There's so many more. All right. So if you're watching this live or if you're coming in on the replay, and whether you have perimenopause, whether you have menopause with a thyroid challenge or a suspected thyroid challenge, or you have a thyroid challenge and you're postmenopausal and you're concerned about bone mineral density, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, or any of those other big nasties that tend to come during that stage of life, I would love you to type the word breakthrough, right? Breakthrough, okay? Because I want for you what I want for everyone, and that is to actually get that breakthrough, right? Once you understand what's going on in your body, once you've put all the pieces of the puzzle together and you can see where the clear missing gaps are, then we can actually have a tailored treatment plan, which actually gets you from A to B to feel better, to actually feel more confident in your body and actually have a really clear pathway moving forward for healthy aging, for longevity, and for symptom control, whatever stage you're at. All right. So I'd love you to type breakthrough and we can have a conversation. I'll reach out to you. We can have a conversation. And during that conversation, you're going to get some key next steps for which to take. Whether or not you come and work with me is another matter. That's your decision, yours alone. I've got nothing to sell. You either decide or you don't decide. It's completely, all due respect, my wish for you is for you to get the very best next step. So you're going to get the next step. So there's absolutely no, everything to gain, nothing to lose by having a conversation with me about what's going on in your health at a very deep level, so that you can have a pathway and a plan moving forward to get the very best out of your health. All right. So if you have any questions around anything that I've said tonight, or, it's such a broad topic, I'm kind of just really kind of trying to hone it in on the key areas. I haven't discussed signs and symptoms typically because there are so many signs and symptoms and they're overlapping. But if you've got some questions and you're actually concerned and you're unsure whether it's thyroid or whether it's perimenopause or whether it's both, and you're wanting to know what's going on in your body, type breakthrough so that we can have a chat and get some clarity for you so that you can take the best next steps moving forward. All right, well, that's it from me. Have a beautiful evening and a fantastic week, and just embrace that next stage, that wisdom stage, the wisdom years, I like to call it. And yeah, I will see you next week. So next week we have a very special guest speaker. So a couple of months ago, I did a environmental toxins masterclass. And the reason why I will often talk about environmental toxins is because they are the hidden particles that are in our everyday life. Like, we cannot avoid them. Like, they are ubiquitous. They are everywhere. And they actually impact our thyroid. They impact menopause. They impact our bone health. Like, they impact so many areas in our body. And our beautiful guest speaker next week has a sensational skincare products that they make. They're a small business that I stumbled across a couple of years ago, and I absolutely love them. Their ethics are in the right place. They have the best quality ingredients that they use, and there are absolutely no environmental toxins. And I'd love to introduce this beautiful, beautiful family and business to you, so that if you're concerned and you're unsure about what to put on your skin to help your health and your health and wellness moving forward, you can have this as an option. So that's it from me. I'm going to be talking about environmental toxins next week and introducing a beautiful company that can potentially help you in negating environmental toxins coming through your skin. All right, that's it from me. Bye for now.